If you press the guard button just as you're about to get hit, you'll perform a vanish known as the Z counter. It is important to note you cannot use Z counters against rush inputs that are not charged. Also, Z counters actually do take a little bit of ki every time you perform them, so you have to be a little bit mindful of how they are used. You can also use Z counters against Z counters, so you can chain them into each other. Since the ki gauge drops as you use the Z counter, whoever loses their ki gauge completely first loses the vanish battle. These can also be activated from any direction, even if you're facing away from your opponent. Also, by pressing the dash button after the Z counter input, you can do a follow-up attack, same as the one you can do after a charged rush input. You can also use Z counters to not only vanish rush type blasts, but also beam type and orb type blasts as well. You can also use Z counters to vanish and respond to vanishing assaults. If you press up and rush attack right as you're about to get hit at any point in a rush combo, you'll do a super counter. Super counters can also be used against charged rush inputs and they have no cooldown. Now super counters can be vanished with Z counters, so you have to be careful with how you use them. But do keep in mind, you can also super counter Z counters. Just like the Z counters, super counters also work in any direction, so if you're getting hit from behind a ton in the rush combo, you can counter out of it. After pressing the dash button after a super counter, you can do a follow-up attack just like the Z counter. Super counters can be used against almost every single melee application in Sparking Zero, so you have to be careful because they can't be used against ki blasts or beam type blasts. You can use super counters to respond to vanishing assaults, grabs, revenge counters, and also other super counters.